we seek to improve the lives of people by improving the security and trust of our digital communications. We believe that for solutions to be meaningful, they have to work for all of the people. And this is why we've been educating our members on problems above and beyond their respective fields of expertise. People are the difference, and as an organization run by volunteers, we know and understand the solutions to complex problems include knowledge and understanding beyond the problem itself, but how it will affect people directly and indirectly. As a group that always wants to do better, we have to come to learn about the importance of humanizing metrics in order for change to happen. Numbers move minds and stories move hearts. I think that's a really critical point that our friends here have provided for us. It is with special excitement I'm pleased to welcome Ashley Maria and Leanne Burst, producers of the documentary film Pioneers in Skirts. These two ladies spent 4 years traveling in the United States to reveal the career obstacles women face, what realistically can be done about them. In the end, they ended up with a story of how we can play a role in fast-tracking the cultural change in order to achieve greater gender parity in the workforce. Ashley Maria is a filmmaker based in Los Angeles, winner of the coveted Directors Guild of America Award. She was also featured by the DGA Women's Steering Committee as one of 6 directors who represent the future of women in film. When she's not running her own production, she is a directing instructor at UCLA. Very recently, Ashley Marie was selected as North American delegate to attend in March of this year the UN 63rd session of the Congress on the Status of Women, the principal global policy-making body dedicated exclusively to gender equity and the advancement of women. Leanne Burst is a filmmaker based in Raleigh, North Carolina. After 17 years of working in the corporate arena, Leanne transitioned her career to consulting with mid-sized organizations who need help with their competitive positioning. With an aim to positively influence the next generation, Leanne regularly produces social media impact documentaries, contributes to nonprofit boards, and is an invited guest lecturer at universities like Meredith College and Duke University. She is a winner of several technical and leadership awards, including the prestigious IBM Award of Excellence and the Triangle Women in Business Award for her accomplishments in the community service. Ashley and Leanne also happen to be mother-daughter team, which is a great thing to hear. Have you ever wondered what it's like making a documentary film, especially one that takes you across the country in search of an answer to that really big question? Ashley and Leanne are going to share how the idea for the film was found and how they went about finding the answer to the question, what will it take for women to achieve parity in the workplace? And later today at 5 p.m. here in the ballroom, you'll see the movie and experience the culmination of their work, as well as solutions you can immediately put into action when you're back in the office. So please join me in welcoming Ashley Maria and Leanne Burst.
Thank you. Okay, we want this to be interactive, so when you get excited, I want laughter and laughter. Okay, so I'm the director of this film, and like I said, we're mother and daughter, so I'm going to be saying, Mom or Leanne interchangeably, so just go with it. So Pioneers in Skirts started when we saw an issue that Janet also is describing to you. That's why we've had these initiatives. So we knew we wanted to tell a story that will help you to understand what's going on in our culture, but then what can we actually do about it? So the film, it's a feature documentary that follows my own journey, and we talk about the stereotypes and the sexism that women are confronted with because it does chip away at them. It hurts their potential and makes them feel like they must rethink their dreams. And why do I say such a bold statement? Because that's exactly what happened to me. So I grew up believing if I dream it, I can be it, right? Like most little girls. My family supported me. I was incredibly lucky. And I knew, as a filmmaker, I wanted to be a filmmaker, and if I wanted to do this, I knew I was going to have to work hard, and so I did. And I went to the best schools. I did all of the right things that I felt needed to happen for me to pursue this career, and that meant internships at Sony and ESPN, and I got to work with Tom Hanks. Like, I'm name dropping for you right now, so you realize it was pretty cool, and I felt like I was really on my way. And I went to go get my master's in film, and there I was winning prestigious awards. Like they said in our intro, the Directors Guild of America Award, which is one of the top awards you can win as a filmmaker. And so like I said, I felt like I was really on my way. I was doing the right stuff, and my films were getting noticed. So when I graduated, I felt like I was there. And then I hit a work world that I was not prepared for.
Maybe Ashley needs to, wear pants and never wear skirts. Maybe she needs to lower her voice, and I'm thinking, why am I thinking these things? Well, that's because that's the stuff I had to do, right? And you don't consciously say, oh, this is what I need to do. You get squeezed into this little tiny world of, oh, this is what works, and you start doing it.
Do you think you prepared me for these challenges?
I didn't think I had to really prepare you for any challenges. I thought everything was in the past. I can't believe that women your age still have to go through what I had to go through.
Did you recognize me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what was it like when I was going to school, and what was it like for me when I went to the workforce? It's actually a picture of me in 1984. In 1984, I actually graduated my second college degree. It's also the time when, if you look at it very closely, when we used to put name tags on our desks. We did that. Do you still? It's also a time where, when I looked for work, I had to use a newspaper. There was no internet back then. And I had to look down a certain column. The newspapers had male jobs, female jobs. Take a look at those. I didn't really like the female jobs. They kind of looked like dead-end jobs for me. I wanted these jobs, but I could not apply to them. In fact, I had to take what I could get. But a lot has changed. It's been 30, 35 years since I've been in the workforce. A lot has changed. It's 2019. It's not 1919. So you would think a lot has changed, but no, it hasn't. In fact, it hasn't changed very much at all.
So let me give you some context. You've probably seen this in the news. The film industry is very male-dominated, especially if you want to be a director. And for example, 96% of the films you see in theaters right now are directed by men. So that means that 96% of the films that are influencing our culture, showing, what people look like, what they act like, those are through the point of view of men. So just take that in, 96%. So what's it like for me as a director when I walk on set and my other female colleagues? Well, as you can imagine, we aren't taken seriously. People look at us and they think, first of all, we're catering, or we're someone's girlfriend and not the director in charge. Or once we get past that first initial hiccup, they question us. Our crew questions, are you sure? Is that what you want? Instead of just taking the direction, which is not a great way to run a production. And then what's worse, and again, what you've seen in the news, is the harassment, which I deal with on a daily, which sometimes makes people think that I only got where I am for one reason. And that can be pretty tough.
And for me, to listen to my daughter talk about what it's like for her at work, to be questioned who she is when she walks on set, to be stopped at a gate and told to go park over here because that's where the actresses park, that's where the actors go, and she actually was in charge of production at the studio. To hear about the harassment she got, a lot, I heard it a lot. I really questioned, how can you possibly make it in this field?
Right, so that was something I was questioning. I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. How am I going to have this career that I've always dreamed of if I can't just be myself and I can't just walk on set and do the job? So that's the scene that you guys just saw with my mom. I called her and I said, what's going on? What am I supposed to be doing? Basically blaming myself. What am I doing wrong that's making people not take me seriously? And so she was the one that said, listen, it sounds like you're dealing with the same thing, similar situations that I was challenged with when I started my career. We are not advancing fast enough, and neither one of us knew what to do about it. And that's how Pioneers in Skirts found us. We knew we needed to get out there and make this film because the solutions were not in front of us.
So what did we do? Well, first of all, Ashley did what she does best. She grabbed a camera and said, you know, I'm going to make a movie about it. A filmmaker will see something that's really funny, something that's really cool, or something that's really sad or scary, and say, I got to tell that story.
We have to film it.
And I came along for the ride. So Janet just told you that we spent 4 years making a film, but we actually spent an entire year on top of that researching. So the very first question we asked was, and Janet just said that, what will it take for women to succeed in the workplace? And it sounds like a real simple question, but I put in parentheses here about all levels. We started discovering in the first year how really difficult it is for women, and a lot of people weren't realizing it. We had to find out what worked, what didn't work, what do people know, who knows it? And then we hit the ground running and spent 4 years traveling the entire United States, talking to people who had done the research themselves, come up with solutions, and then we spoke to a lot of people who were living it, succeeding in it, not succeeding in it, and we made a movie.
Exactly. So, as a storyteller, we had to figure out how are you going to sit for 90 minutes and be talked at about solutions. No, that's not going to influence change. You needed to feel that sort of empathy, like we were saying. Numbers move minds, stories move hearts. And so, my story is in there, and then we also grabbed a lot of women who are dealing with these issues now, and we combined the two with the experts so that you're getting a little bit of everything as you're watching, and hopefully learning how to get it into your own life.
When I was wearing makeup, people would assume I was only there as the girlfriend. Clearly that is my issue, right? I don't want to be somebody's girlfriend. I am here as the person in charge.
You do realize this is a privilege. You pretty women, when you walk into a room and they're all like, you're so pretty. You get a seat at a table because you're pretty. You guys have a privilege that I am not used to. I'm not gonna get meetings because I'm the pretty petite girl in the corner. Never gonna happen for me. So,
but
check your privilege.
you also might get taken more seriously.
Cool, that's my privilege.
Women are often seen as either competent or likable, but oftentimes not both. And that's a problem because we know in the workplace, it helps to be both competent and well-liked. And so women have to spend this energy in walking this fine line. And that's energy that oftentimes men don't have to think about.
At this point, you can imagine we're pretty overwhelmed. We had the data to show that the numbers just aren't moving, but we still had to say, we can do this. We didn't want to deter the audience, and we didn't want to feel deterred.
Yeah, it was pretty challenging. You see the skies falling, we saw the research, we spoke to the people. It's pretty depressing sometimes. But when you make a movie that says, you know what, change is possible, you really gotta let people know that progress can be had, right? So that was one of our biggest challenges. How do we tell this story without everybody saying, you know what, I'm not seeing that movie again, right?
Yeah, that would be terrible. So one of our solutions was to show how these assumptions that are placed upon women, people are being mindful of them on camera for us. We're very lucky to interview Norman Lear. Is anyone familiar with his work? He did All in the Family, MAAWG, One Day at a Time, all of it. And so his career was associated with this, let's get our culture to see the assumptions that they have and be mindful of them and work towards either overcoming them or just realizing that they're there. So what was really great is he came into our interview with his own assumptions about me and how he called it his own prejudices.
This would be a big confession. I walked in and met you, a very pretty woman. My instinct within 5 minutes was, oh, pay attention here. She knows what she's talking about. She's got something on her mind. Pay attention. But that's instinct overcoming what I guess without the instinct would be prejudice. And I've never said any of that before. and I love listening to it.
And we liked listening to that too, didn't we? But we all know about some famous words. Equality for women, equality for people, equality for all. But do we really understand what those words mean? And is equality the right word that we want to be using? These are pretty simplistic images that have been going around the internet, and you may have already seen that, but we thought we'd throw that up again just so that we can all understand what we're aiming for. What we're aiming for is actually fairness, right? Right now, we want you to be aware of your own actions, what's happening around you. We definitely want people to feel like they have equal opportunity, but we want everybody to feel like it's fair, and that's important. But fairness is a choice, and we all have to make that choice, and we have to have those tough conversations. You know, what's happening, what's affecting you, what's affecting you, what am I doing to affect it, and how can we change? And so the end game is to bring down the barriers altogether. And we're not just talking about women, we're talking about everybody who doesn't feel like they're privileged, or they just aren't privileged, and they're underrepresented. And an underrepresented group can be anybody, it's intersectional. Do we all understand that point, right?
And so we wanted to offer the solution of what is one way you can even just help your daughters, and you can get her some tools.
I think it's the parents competing with peers, and the peers are buttressed by the media environment. And we start it from the day they're born, a pink crib and a blue crib. It's just such utter nonsense, and it's so pervasive.
Disney Princess Carriage.
With a Color Shifters custom color shop. Blast to a raging waterfall.
At one point we were having a holiday, and it was like, what do I get my kids? And I said, well, you know, I can get you a normal present like we do, or I will give you a little bit more to buy tools at Home Depot. And Iman, my daughter, picked the tools. So I ended up buying her $60, $70 of tools, but we went there several trips, and I talked about which tools are most useful. Like everybody needs a hammer, everybody needs some locking pliers. And so there's a sense of ownership. And from that point on, if there was something that required some hand tools around the house, switch a doorknob or take something apart or what have you, say, hey, honey, get your tools, let's do this. And just the activity of doing that is really kind of an empowering thing.
So I do encourage you all to come back and see the full feature, because the interview with the dads is one of the most popular scenes. So you've got a little taste. Okay, so let's jump into what do we do right now. First of all, you've heard this before, you have to be mindful of your own biases, and we've all got them. So that's step one, and like I said, if you watch the film, we feel like you're going to be even more on high alert of what's going on around you. And then step two, speak up about it. So it's up to women and men, it's not just a women's issue, to speak up and say, hey, maybe there aren't enough women in this room, so what do we do about it? Okay? You have to step up and say, let's change that, and have those tough conversations about how do we bring more women to the table. There are studies that show you have to at least get 3 women to the table to have a true conversation.
So change is definitely a team effort, isn't it? Right? When you see what's going on and you make that decision, something has to happen, and then you take that first step to make change, all of a sudden that's a good thing, and but you have more people, and all of a sudden you're moving faster. So change, team effort, move faster, right? Well, support is very important too. We know that change makers need support. We know that we need support, and we wanted to take this opportunity to thank a few people who in this room that have been helping us. First, that we'd like to do is thank the organization, the executive committee. They've been very supportive of us in making the film. And secondly, we'd like to recognize Glenn Schneider. He's with Twilio SendGrid. Twilio SendGrid stepped up and said, you know what? They actually watched the film. They said, we want the people in this room to see the film, and so they helped us make that happen, and thank you very much. Thank you. And secondly, I'd like to thank Dennis Lehman. He's with Return Path. Return Path actually was our very first corporate community partner. We have partnered with corporations who want to make a difference, who want to have this movie screened in corporate, who want universities to see it, and we thank you for helping us do that. Thank you. But there's a lot of people who step forward and they want to make a difference. A lot of people in this room, I know, you listen to Janet and she talks about it, and it's a long-term project, right? In our world, there's a lot of people who want to make a difference for young girls in the world, for their daughters. They want to see a difference, and they're making changes. You saw the dads who bought the toolkit for the daughter, and also we have Udemy Ukut. Udemy, wait. He has been amazing. I don't know if you've met him yet.
Oh yeah.
He's right here.
You're making me blush now.
He makes sure that our crew gets around the United States of America. He has been incredible. Thank you, Udemy. Thank you very much.
All right, so what can you do if you're interested in following along on our progress? The movie is almost done. We're at our fine cut stage. So join us on the journey by either tweeting, you see Pioneers and Skirts up there, join our mailing list, opt in on pioneersinskirts.com, or tell your company about us. Bring us in to talk about the process, the film, and the topic. And tell the universities in your area. We want to make sure that this film is getting out there to be a part of conversations because we want change to happen, and it happens when we have this dialogue. And I want to leave you with this. We started the presentation telling you how I started out feeling like I was losing my pioneering ambition. Well, I'll let you know she's back. And it's that little girl who dreamed big, she's back, and I'm very happy I took the risk to make this film, and I'm very appreciative that you brought us here to talk about it.